Hi folks, it's John from lastchanceautorestore.com. I'd like to share with you an upcoming project. We've been playing with it a little bit already, and I apologize because the breeze, the weather here is terrible and it's really noisy in the shop. So I thought it'd be smarter to bring it out here, but our portable microphone's broken, so hopefully there's not too much interference or distraction with the microphone. So this is kind of like an abandoned project. It's changed hands a couple of times. And our client that owns the car did quite a bit of the pre-assembly on it, and then we're kind of doing the finishing touches. We're going to do the body and paint. So there's, it's basically, so it's a fiberglass body and a good quality body. It's on a custom frame with 4-link suspension. It has Lucky 7 chrome front components and steering. One thing I don't care too much about, but it's already there, is a small block. I hate when they do a Chev engine in a Ford car, but that's what the customer has chosen, so that's what we're continuing. If it was my build, a 32 Ford, I'd be putting a Ford engine in. That being said, it's a nice engine. It's been rebuilt by a friend of his, and we're going to do a lot of detail work. So when we picked the vehicle up, the front rad housing and the front part was really crooked, not really sure why. So we basically reworked it so it fits properly. The engine does run quite well. It's just going to need a lot of detail work. So this is just the dry fitting of the parts. The side pipes, we don't like the way the pipes come out a little bit too far, so we're probably going to play with that a little bit. The body itself is quite a decent body. It's unmolested out of a mold. This is just some dust and dirt on it. It's more dusty. It had rear fenders on it that were totally wrong. We've removed those fenders. We have correct fenders coming, and we're going to basically, we'll end up getting the original fenders. We're going to trim them so that they'll be very similar to the yellow Ford that's in American graffiti. So the rear fenders will look more of that traditional style. On the inside of the car, we've done lots of work. It had kind of a homemade roll bar that certainly wasn't safe by any stretch. The doors and hinges were kind of on there but didn't really fit right, and the gaps were all wrong. So we redid all of that. And then our floor and shifter and parking brake, they had the shifter but the linkage wasn't hooked up right. And we've done a little bit of a mock-up on the dash. There was nothing in the dash, and I think the camera person can probably get right inside maybe and kind of showing you the dash. So it's pretty traditional, and you see that quite a bit with this center console. A lot of guys do this look or this style, and then they've got the white face dolphin gauges. So they look quite nice. They were in a box. We basically hooked everything up to get a visual. You can see there's some tape here. There was some parts that were cut up in the dash to do. They had different ideas for layout. I didn't really care for it too much, so we're at the mock-up stage where this is kind of the style that we think or I envision for the car, and then the client's going to be coming shortly, and then he's going to basically sit in it, touch it, and see if that's kind of the way he would like it to be. So we've got the tilt column. We've set up the power windows to the left of the steering wheel. So you've got the double switches there for driver and passenger. And then on the right-hand side of the steering column, you have the one power switch for the rear trunk, which will open and close with an actuator. And then our ignition is just kind of dangling down here, but it's going to be here in the dash. And then you can see we've done a mock-up. We've just got kind of archaic looking with the cardboard and duct tape, but this is kind of the style that I envision. It's an air-conditioned car, so we're going to put vent here and another vent here. And then our controls, we've got heat and air conditioning, and it's vintage air system, so we're thinking about putting this in this area. And then the lower area, we're going to add a stereo with a touchscreen and a backup camera. I think is probably going to look quite nice there. The visibility on these is horrendous backing up, so I think the backup camera is going to be a handy feature. We've got a lot of low car high quality parts. So we've got the low car shifter, the push button, the bezel and the leather wrap. And then the car came with the wrong parking brake. It was more of a pull-up style and newer car for a console. We bought this from Low Car, and we've already dry fitted and cut for the attachment. So we got the parking brake more period correct with the pull style. And you can see we've got all of the AC and hoses and heating ductwork and so on is all hidden in behind. That's one of the reasons to have this lower part of the dash to finish it off. And I'm envisioning all of this being a padded upholstery, and we'll do some nice stitching in the upholstery with the high density foam. So that should finish off this whole front face quite nicely. And then we've got pre-wiring for interior lights, and then we have the mechanisms for the wipers on the outside, and then I mentioned the tilt steering. So this is basically the mock-up for the inside of the vehicle. We've set up all the linkage and brakes, the window regulators, and the glass going inside. So we've got they adjusted all on the insides for the glass. We don't have the trim on yet or things like that, but it starts well, it runs really well, and it's going to be quite a nice fun car for him to drive. We come around the back. It has no bumper yet. We've got the trunk, it's on an actuator. You can see we've got, I think the camera person can kind of zoom underneath there. We've got the really nice fuel cell. We've got an actuator, it's power drive with alloy. We're going to do a safety switch, so they'll have a cable that'll go through on a pull cord. So if anything does happen, a fault with the battery at any time, we'll still be able to override that pin and have access into the trunk for fuel and for battery. These are the tail lights that the customer has chosen, and he likes those. And then we're probably making our own tubular bumper because it's going to need a bumper on the back, and it's probably going to be that style, once again similar to the yellow card American Graffiti. And then as we come down this side, same idea. The body's quite nice. He's not sold completely on these wheels and tires, but obviously having the look of the big tires on the back and smaller tires in the front is part of that look. And then you can see the polished components for the steering, and that's the brand is Lucky 7, which is quite nice. And then we've got some the March pulley system, but then we've got to deal with some of the cheaper stuff. We've got an alternator housing where the fake chrome is peeling off, and so that's obviously an aftermarket cheapy kind of thing. And then we got the really nice March air cleaner, and they've run a lot of the tubing and stuff for your vintage air, and we've got all new fittings set up for that. And then we've got the better starter. So this is kind of a nice fun project. The customer's got a couple different colors in mind, so as this build continues, we're going to do the mock-up with the client, and then once he fits in and everything feels good, we'll make the custom running boards. We'll continue on the dry fitting and fenders, and then as this build continues, we'll just share with you frequent updates. So this is a 1932 Ford Hot Rod, and I thank you for watching. I'm John from lastchanceautorestore.com.